remove. Later you can add. You saved all as .asm, no?
.asm and .a51 is accepted, sir. So I just saved it to the default .a51.
Okay, okay. So now you are this program is for reads?
This program is for exercise 1 of the experiment that we did last class.
Okay. What it is for exercise 1? Can you define that exercise 1?
Yes, I will open the document, sir. Please give me some time.
Yeah. Okay, write a program to read an input from port 0, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Experiment 2 in the file called MC Lab 13. Experiment 1, sorry.
Experiment 1, yeah. Read data from port 0 and display 00 if it is positive, else display FF.
So that is what this program is doing. First, we move the value from port 0 into the accumulator. We use directly the accumulator because in 8051, if I was to use a register, then I won't be able to execute the next command because you can only do operations on data that's in the accumulator. And in order to see if there is a positive or a negative number at port 0, the best, easiest way is to do an AND with the most significant bit, which is the signed bit. So that's why we are doing the next command is AND of whatever is inside the accumulator and 80H, basically. Depending on the result, if the number in A is negative, you will basically have 0x80 in the accumulator. And if it's positive, it will be 000, everything 0. So if it is negative, we can use the jump, if not 0 command, to say that it's negative. And if it jumps to this, basically it goes here, and this is basically the equivalent of our halt be halt or stop be stop in 8051. Basically do nothing and just stop. Why do we do this? Because by default the port all the ports are initialized to 0 cross FF, which is what we are supposed to output anyways if it's negative. In the case that it is not negative, we explicitly say that port 1 should be 0, and that's what this move is doing. And then again we reach halt. We are supposed to halt.
If it is not negative, what is to be done? 1 second. Some program or data. Display 00 if it is positive, else FF. Okay. Fine. Can you run this and show me the result? How you take the input and?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Close these other ones. Okay. So first we go on to our peripherals. Port 0 is required. Port 1 is required. Our output is at port 1, and from what I understand, sir, P1 is what the microcontroller will output. If you have to provide input, you have to change the pins below the P1 or P0 or whatever port it was. So let's give it, since we are giving input at port 0, let me give it some random positive number. And then I will, it's a small enough program, so I'll just step through the program. And as you can see, the output is 0. I'm done running the program.
Yeah.
We reset, then I can just take any other random negative number and run it again.
Now there is a possibility that how to continuously monitor this, right? For some time I give positive number or some number. I keep changing the number. So it has to continuously show me whether it is positive or negative. Then how you manage your program? What changes?
Sir, in that case, what we can do is there'll be two things you'll have to change. Here, instead of saying jump, if not 0, we'll have to internally jump to a command that explicitly says that move P1 FFH. And instead of using this halt that we have as jump dollar, we'll just loop over the whole thing.
Yeah. Have you come across something called bit addressing in 8051? Have you studied that?
No, sir.
So you can, instead of going for an entire register, you can select a particular bit of, say for example, I am interested in most significant bit of an accumulator or most significant bit of the input, right? I can specifically select, I can select that bit only. So ACC.7, okay, ACC.7 is the one which gives me the most significant bit, okay, of the accumulator or register A, right? And I can say move it to the carry flag. So see, I can use say instructions like move C comma ACC.7 and check for carry flag whether it is set or not. Okay, I can even address a particular bit, not necessarily a entire register I have to take into account. In 8051, that provision I have to select a particular bit, whereas in your ARM7 you do not have an instruction to, right, program a particular bit alone. Okay, fine. Any other programs you have implemented?
Yes, sir. All of the exercises, like I said.
Yeah, I will ask you one exercise.
All of the exercises for this experiment.
Yeah. Question number 5. Write an 8051 ALP to multiply two 8-bit BCD numbers stored in memory.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, show me.
Excuse me, sir. Can you please start recording?
Yeah. Yeah. Arnav.
Yes, sir. Can you please start recording, sir? Actually.
Oh.
दिखा पाओगे और? Yeah.
Yes, sir. In the previous, actually, for all of the code that I wrote, sir, I used something that is equivalent to ARM because I'm not very familiar with 8051, sir. 8081, sorry. So in this, the main thing that, okay, I'll go step by step. Fine. So at the end of the program, I have kept a section where we put our two numbers to multiply. I'm not taking dynamic input. So these are the two numbers that we'll be multiplying. How the program works is obviously first we load the address of this data into the data pointer. Then again, initialization of port 0 because we need to show the output there. So set that to 0 in the starting. Registers and accumulator B, accumulator A, set that all to the initial values. Accumulator B is set to 0 cross 0 A because we're going to use this to convert the BCD number to hex. We start with the assumption that the two numbers that we have been supplied are in BCD. So what we then do is convert the first argument of whatever data we have been supplied to hex, and we use the same algorithm that we use in ARM and in general, that you take the first 4 bits, multiply that with 1 and add, take the second 4 bits, multiply that with A and add, and so on and so forth. And that's what this code is doing. We take the data pointer, load the first number in, then increment it. It then points to the second number. Then data pointer stuff is done. We move on to processing the first number. So we move A to R0 because we need 2 copies. And then this AND is done to remove the lower 4 bits. And we rotate this 4 times to the right. As far as I am aware, sir, there's no...
There is an option called swap. Swap A if you do. Okay, so one instruction. Swap, SWAP.
Yes, for rotating, sir.
4 RRs, one swap will do.
I see, sir. Okay. So once this rotation is done, we multiply A and B. That's what we were supposed to do. Higher 4 bits into 10. And then we move that value to R1 to store it. Because again, all of the values, all of the operations you have to do, it should be done in accumulator. So that's why we have to move the other one. Basically store the current value. Then we save the same initial value previously in R0. We load that back into the accumulator and now take the least significant 4 bits and add them. We don't have to multiply with 1. So simply add them. And we have converted our BCD number to a hex number.
Okay.
Now, once that is done, it's simple. We just reset the accumulator, load the second number in, and using DPTR, and then we basically add the second number, however many number of times number 1 is. The reason why we converted the number 1 to hex is because then it will be simpler to implement a loop. I could have done the subtraction in BCD itself, but again, I chose to stick with something that is like simpler to understand.
Okay.
So that's what we simply move R1 to A, clear A, and then we add R1 A, clear C, because we don't want to. This is basically, this command clears the carry if there is any. Because we are not doing this multiplication with carry, because then we'll have to separately handle the BCD carry. Once the addition is done, you need to make sure that the number you get is BCD because you're also outputting in BCD. So the DAA command is basically decimal adjust, and it sees at which point should it add a 6 or should it not add a 6, either the 6H or 60H or whatever the amount is, depending on carry there or not.
Now, just to do one thing, the data number what you have taken, 19 multiplied by 5, change it to 99 multiplied by 99. Run this. Build the target. First.
Yeah, forgot that.
Build the target. Close it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the result is stored in P0. So P0 0. Well, not 0, sorry. 21. And if we look at the carry,
if I multiply 99 by 99, which I consider to be a decimal number or a BCD number, I must get 9801. 9801 should be my answer.
Yes, sir. But since I explicitly said we do not handle the carry, I guess this is why the error.
So what you have to do, you have to use a DA instruction immediately after add instruction. Okay, immediately after add instruction, if at all you want to adjust the decimal result. Okay, you cannot use some other instruction. Say for example, in line 33 you have used add a comma r1, then in 34 you cleared the carry, which should not be done. If at all you want to adjust your result, you have to decimal adjust immediately after addition. Okay, so add a comma r1, right? After that you go for a DAA, right? And then clear the whatever, whether it is required to be cleared or not, I don't know, but your logic. Okay, right, what I feel in this program is you are multiplying two BCD numbers, it is right, what is repetitive addition, right? You add 99 times, that's all.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But your logic you can just write anyway. You have I'm not that much confident about this logic, but you can just try with this DA immediately after add, and then if it is required for clearing the carry, I don't know why you have to clear the carry there, right? So just can try and see. Now
Yes,
anyone else? Just make a correction. See, this decimal operation is very important. Okay, for in microprocessor. So there is no instruction in ARM that performs decimal operations. Okay, whereas you have in 8051 an instruction called DA, decimal adjust, which has to be used immediately after the add instruction. Add that too for adding two BCD numbers. Okay, it will work only for only successful work. Means what? You will get successful results if you perform addition of two BCD numbers and then use DA. Right, BCD numbers again here is a hexadecimal or a binary number. Okay, right, you have to use DA carefully, that too immediately after addition. That is the reason why I asked you to change that number. You have taken small number, Yuvraj, 19 multiplied by 5. So I have asked you to take 99 multiplied by 99. So there things went wrong. Okay. So you have to have a program which is very general. It should be able to take any right number and multiply that those two numbers and get the result in decimal. Okay. So anyone who have tried the programs? Arnav Saxena. Arnav Saxena.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I had one doubt in program 3. That is the example program 3.
Okay. 1 second. I will share this program 3.
Yes, sir.
First, I want to take writes back from Yuvraj. Program 3, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Program to add and then multiply two 8-bit numbers stored in register R0 and R1. Results of this addition and multiplication to be stored in data memory location 21, 20, 21, 22, 23 respectively. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So the logic I understood everything, but just in the last part where we do move AB and move 22HA. Sir, why are we not doing directly move 22HB?
Yeah, you can do.
Yes, sir. It's an unnecessary step, right?
Yeah. It
Or
is.
is
It
there
is
any
possible,
logic
right? So
behind it?
now the result is here. The lower byte. I mean the
Yeah.
lower byte of the multiplication result will be placed in A. Upper byte will be placed in B. You can
Correct.
directly do it, right?
Yes.
Move B comma or sorry, move 22 hex comma B can be done.
Okay, sir. Fine. Thank you, sir.
That is the only doubt.
Yes, sir. That's
Yeah.
it. Thank you, sir.
Anything else? Any doubts you have? Anybody tried with experiment 2? So experiment 2 is on sorry, experiment 3. Okay, programming with timers, interrupts, and serial communication. So if you work on this, you will be very confidently able to compare 8051 or microcontrollers, this 8051 with your ARM processor, how easy or how difficult it is to program time or special features of ARM or 8051. Have you tried, any one of you? Have you tried? Arnav Saxena? You told me to start recording and I started recording, you are not seen only. Anmol Jha?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I didn't try, sir. Sorry, sir.
I can pick anyone randomly. You should try. You should have. See, all these programs should be there. I mean, the experiment number 1, 2, 1, 3, and 7, right? All programs, all exercises, you should solve and keep it with you in your notebook. A fair notebook you should keep. And I want you to start with some projects. Okay, mini projects we can call it as. It will carry marks. Okay, 1 credit for project. That is the reason why I'm discussing this 8051 microcontroller, right? You can think of starting the project. So once you come here for doing the labs, right, after completion of the lab, you can show your project results and get evaluated for that. Okay, the only purpose is to compare two processors, do some projects, okay, using microcontrollers, get some programming idea. Okay,
Sir,
Preet.
do we need to do that individually or can we make groups?
At this point of time, is it possible to do in a group? If it is so, group of not more than 3.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Yeah.
8051 and any processor. So group of 3 or 4 at the most, okay? Not more than that. Okay?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Is it possible that we have a little bit of a refresher class on how 8051 hardware works? Because it's been almost over a year and most of us are no longer familiar with how it works.
Is it?
So, can we have a fair understanding? Because when I was in SEM 3, 8051 was given as a self-study topic. So we have never had instruction given to us on how to actually properly use it.
So textbook I have given you already. I mean, I think soft copy is there with you, right? Ayala. And
I understand, sir, but
one PDF already I think I have posted it. You can just go through. You wanted to know the hardware, about the hardware of 8051, right?
Yes, sir, with how the timers, the ports, and all of these things. Basically, the programmer's model, because we haven't been taught that.
Programmer's model itself was not taught. Okay, it was a like self-study topic, right, for you?
Yes, sir, but it wasn't given in the context of programming.
Okay, okay. Mhm.
Sir, is it possible to convert the microprocessor, say, microcontroller labs to some ARM architecture based microcontroller?
You are going to study ARM. I mean, you are going to do the experiments on ARM 7 only when you come here. Okay, so just we are introducing. I am telling you to. I'm telling you about 8051 is to understand one processor before you do experiments on ARM 7, and you will be able to compare both processors, right? Difficulties and easiness in both the processors, right? And do some projects on microcontrollers like 8051 or family members of 8051. That is
But
the
sir,
intention.
if we are taught with the ARM processor, then we should do the project on ARM processor.
You should do the project. You can do the project on ARM processor also, but at the same time, so the syllabus, I mean the lab syllabus is set for as 2 credit. Okay, so in which 1 credit is for your regular lab and another credit is for the project. Okay, so for that we have, I mean it is formed that you have to study or take a processor which you have not studied in regular labs. Okay, that is what the current syllabus is, right? That is the reason why. So we are planning to give you 8051 as a processor to learn and work some project with.
Sir, but wasn't it supposed to happen over the whole semester? We are only left 1 month, and now we have to study the whole new processor and do the project on it, and also do the.
There was no time slot when the semester began, when in the online mode of teaching, right? There was no slot for this lab, right? Only after I completed this subject, analog and digital communication, with my own interest, I have taken up this. Okay, so no one has told. And if you come here for doing the lab, you will be finishing the lab, I think, within 15 days to 20 days time, I think, right? Regularly, every day you will be doing the lab almost, right? So I think your lab going to start from 30th, right? Labs are going to start from 30th, right? And I don't think a full semester will be kept again for that lab alone, isn't it?
But excuse me, sir, but after that, won't we have NSET just 2 to 3 days gap and all of that?
So that is the only reason I have started this microcontroller thing, right? So this time it is anyway, right? So there is no such compulsion that you have to do it in 8051 only, because situation, right, you are all aware of, we are all aware of, there is no compulsion, we are, right, you have to do by using 805, right? You can think of this your ARM 7 also, right? So this is the time it has happened, right, for all of us. Difficulty is there for all of us, right? We are not right,
Sir, so
anything.
let me just clear this out. If the syllabus wasn't finished for ADC, we wouldn't have started this lab, and we still would have had to do the project.
No, I wouldn't have started this lab at all. I wouldn't have started this lab at all.
So then what would have happened to the project?
We would have given some time after you come back here. It would have taken the next semester also. Time, right? Maybe a month or two, in the next semester
But
also.
then can we do that and focus on and let us focus on our end semester studies, because this combined with everything else, because we'll have to do it all over again. The offline exams will happen very differently compared to what we have had right now. So can we like
you find it difficult to do project right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So then once you come here, we will do the lab, and after when you come here, we'll decide about your project in that case.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So no more lab classes then. Fine.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
On another note regarding ADC, can you send some more solved examples and maybe even previous sem papers, because we kind of need a lot more.
Paper pattern is different from this sem. I mean this syllabus, right? Syllabus
Yes,
is
because
changed.
they've merged analog and digital from 2 different semesters into one for our semester. I'm aware of that fact. So, but at least if we have solved examples of both, it would be really helpful for us.
So some of the topics we have not taken from analog communication. Some of the topics we have not taken from digital communication, right? But the questions, which question paper, if at all I send, maybe some of the questions become irrelevant for you, right? So question papers, as far as question papers are concerned, I think you will get it from the library. As we submit the question paper to the office from the office, it will go to the library, right? There must be soft copies available in the library which you can go through.
So regarding question papers, that's fine. So we require some solved examples.
We have solved problems in the class, and even have given some problems. Some of RMD also has given.
So the thing is that the questions done in class during the lectures, sometimes it was very context dependent. So what we're asking you is for some questions like 3 maybe solved examples with the steps clearly written out, so that we can understand what's going on. Otherwise we'll have to go back, refer to the lecture, because
when we solve the problems
are unreadable, to be honest, because it's written on the whiteboard, and then when it transfers over to the slides, you can't read it at all.
Oh, I can come again.
So the thing is, the questions done in class, how they were explained, was very context dependent. So if we want to understand it, we'll have to go through the lecture again, or something like that. The second thing is that many of them were solved in class were done using annotations. So like it was written on the screen itself. So what we're asking is, and what happens is when you transfer it, there's a chance that it doesn't we can't read it. Then it's as simple as that.
No, there is no way.
Asking you like 3 questions.
There is no way. The slides we have sent, right? Slides we have sent, you can use them, right? Whatever the classes I have taken, all the slides have been sent to you. You can just go through them, right? You can go through, you can understand. If you don't understand, you just send a message, right? These are the topics we have not understood. Just explain. I'll explain it to you, or to concerned faculty who have taken that topic.
Okay, sir. We'll get back to you with the topic list.
Okay then. Right.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.